to give us an ultimatum after all of these months of negotiating that you want us to pay almost double what the property's worth, otherwise you're going to terminate us, it's really disappointing.
That's Chris Marlowe, co-owner of the Green Lion Cafe at the Palm Harbor Golf Club, who's criticizing Palm Coast for what he's calling the raw deal the city gave them in order to keep the doors open.
Fair market value was determined at being 9 at 10, and now they're asking us to pay $17 a square foot. That's like 90% more than fair market value or what that property has been deemed that it's worth. And they've given us until Friday to accept this deal, otherwise they're going to terminate us. It just seems insane.
Marlowe, who spoke his piece at last week's council meeting and objected to being given only 3 minutes to make his case, tells WNZF one of the issues he has with the city's demands is the water bill.
The water bill being paid by the city at an amount of $24,000 a year, or $2,000 a month. But it's been said over and over again that that's the water bill for the entire clubhouse. That's not just the usage of the Green Lion's water. We're just one component of that. I'm pretty sure we can all agree that we don't consume 100% of the water on the whole property.
Marlowe says they're willing to pay fair market value, but
restaurants that pay fair market value, they have dumpsters. I mean, we're not asking for crazy stuff. Can we have a dumpster on site? There's a dumpster. The city has provided us with a dumpster. It's probably half a mile away. We've been asking for this for a year. I don't think that's anything that should hold up this lease.
There's another aspect of the city's proposed lease that Chris Marlowe finds troubling.
If any employee gets a felony or a misdemeanor, that they can terminate our lease, put us out of business. I can't control what my employees do on their personal time. Who would agree to this? I don't think any reasonable, prudent business owner would agree to these terms. I just think that these things are very normal and we should be able to talk through them. But unfortunately, these are things that we've been discussing for almost a year and they won't change them.
He adds that the Green Lion has been a good partner to the city, opening their doors at a time when there was no other interest in the golf club. The Green Lion has till Friday to agree to the 5-year lease agreement passed by the Palm Coast City Council last Tuesday. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota US 1 St. Augustine, here to wow you. Flagler County Sheriff's deputies have arrested another person involved in a robbery in Bunnell.
An armed robbery at the Carver Gym in Bunnell the end of last month has resulted in another arrest. This time, sheriff's deputies caught up with 36-year-old Delise Lacey, who was arrested for petty theft and dealing in stolen property. Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley.
Previously, they had already arrested 2 individuals for doing the armed robbery. In continuing the investigation, they discovered a female took the stolen iPhone and sold it.
Deputies were able to locate where she sold the cell phone and had used her ID to complete the sale. Sheriff Staley says she's no stranger to law enforcement. Lacey has a criminal history in Florida dating back to 2010. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Karen Johnson.
A Flagler Palm Coast High School student who led a statewide walkout over Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay law and has become a nationally recognized activist talks about why he decided to get involved.
Jack Petos says it started 2 years ago when he appeared before the school board.
It was a really difficult time in 2020. We were going through COVID. My family had just caught it pretty early on in the pandemic. And a certain school board member, Janet McDonald, was tweeting some COVID misinformation from her Twitter account, and it had picked up by local political groups that I was following. So I went before the school board and I spoke out against it. I followed the rules as lined out. I got it even approved by some school board members. I ran it through. And when I got there and when I went to speak out against it, I got about 30 seconds into my speech and I was cut off and I was told that I was out of board procedure and that I needed to stop talking.
Jack says after he realized they weren't really interested in what students had to say, it led him to work for affecting change.
The students are the ones that they're supposed to be making these day-to-day decisions, but they're supposed to be on that body to, to serve them and to make school a better place for them. And you think that a rising sophomore coming to speak, to the board about something that has directly affected them and something that they feel, upsets them, you think that you would want to give them that space. So that's kind of what ignited a fire within me and started all this activism.
He was recently invited to the White House to witness President Biden sign an executive order on LGBTQ rights. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Rich Petchke.
Flagler County Senior Services needs volunteers for Meals on Wheels. Winnie Costello, a program manager for Senior Services, tells WNZF they've seen some turnover among volunteers and need to expand routes.
Meals on Wheels is a huge need in Flagler County. Right now, we have a wait list, and the needs just outweigh the resources. We're looking for volunteers that could sub for our regular Meals on Wheels drivers, and also maybe since we'll be adding, we'll need some new drivers for new routes that are coming up.
Volunteers for both Meals on Wheels and the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, which makes 100 food deliveries each month to seniors to meet their nutritional needs, are needed for Tuesdays and some Fridays. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Amy Cherry.
Who uses paramedicine?
You might think that because we live in Florida, paramedicine would be geared toward the elderly. Flagler County paramedic Rob Errett said that is not necessarily the case.
We have a very wide range because we're also dealing with the Narcan issues and the opioid overdoses and things like that. We're following up with those patients. So our demographic really varies all the way from somebody in their early 20s to late 90s even.
Bob Snyder points out that the paramedicine program has been around for about 4 years now, helping to keep people out of the emergency room. Flagler Health Matters is on WNZF on Saturday mornings at 11:30 and anytime on the Flagler radio app. Tomorrow, more about paramedicine. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.